They even urgently reached out to us for help, as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reported. They are specifically asking for our interceptor drones. And Zelensky says Ukraine will respond, but in a way that doesn't weaken its own defense. And also, according to the president, Ukraine is negotiating with Gulf countries to exchange our interceptor drones for their Patriot missiles.
You know, Oksana, I'm sure once the sheikhs see our interceptors in action, they'll want to build an entire factory of their own. Just as is already happening in Europe. Now we're going to show you a truly unique exclusive, the first Ukrainian drone factory in Britain. How it strengthens our defense and whether it risks our Ukrainian specialists leaving the country and staying there, Artem Kulia will explain everything.
A secret Ukrainian factory in Europe.
We have no right to stop the process of supplying the necessary equipment.
For the first time, an exclusive on the production of hundreds of drones in Great Britain for the defense forces.
Ukraine's security is also Britain's security.
Where the next production sites will appear and how Ukraine will help the United States in the Middle East. Great Britain, late February. In a spacious hangar away from prying eyes, high-profile guests gather, including Ukraine's ambassador to Britain Valery Zaluzhny and top British defense official Luke Pollard. A unique event has brought everyone together. The first factory of a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone manufacturer is opening in Great Britain.
The opening of this factory is a major milestone in deepening the industrial partnership between Great Britain and Ukraine. Because, as we've seen in Ukraine, an army is only as strong as the industry that stands behind it.
This is where Ukrainian Shark M reconnaissance drones will be produced, which have been proving their effectiveness on the battlefield for years. We're learning the sensational news in Kyiv, firsthand. The UK Minister for Defence Procurement and Industry Luke Pollard arrived in Ukraine and arranged to meet us at St. Michael's Square.
This is a large factory that is opening here. The manufacturers want to produce hundreds of drones per month. They want to hire hundreds of workers, not just at their factory but throughout the supply chain. For us, it's an opportunity to say with confidence that these Ukrainian companies are welcome, that will support them, and that will ensure their security.
So what kind of birds for our front line will be produced in the distant Albion? We arranged to meet the manufacturer in Kyiv to find out what their secret is.
The primary targets for this type of aircraft are anti-aircraft missile systems, radar stations, electronic warfare stations, signals intelligence, and so on.
Today, the company supplies these drones to over 400 Defense Force crews. The flight range is 180 kilometers. The operating altitude is up to 7,000 meters, where no enemy FPV drone can reach it, and the flight time is 7 hours.
And probably without exaggeration, it is the only electric reconnaissance aircraft in the world that stays up for such a long time.
For Britain, this project means strengthening its own defense industry, access to technologies proven in modern warfare, and job creation. But what does this give to Ukraine?
We have no right to stop the process of supplying the necessary equipment for our army, period. First of all, it is a security component that will allow us to establish an uninterrupted process of manufacturing and supply.
But doesn't this create a risk of an engineer brain drain abroad?
Nothing will be leaving Ukraine. Neither engineers, nor designers, nor workers, absolutely nothing. Everything is being opened there completely from scratch.
The company in Britain remains Ukrainian, and therefore all the same norms and restrictions on arms supplies apply to it as in Ukraine.
This equipment can only be supplied exclusively to Ukraine and can only be sold in the United Kingdom for delivery to Ukraine. Period. If the United Kingdom wants to buy this equipment for itself, yes, it has every right to use it. If it wants to purchase and transfer or export this equipment purchased from us to some third party or a third country, it must obtain the appropriate license and explicit permission from Ukraine to supply this equipment.
I truly hope that they will be the very first of many more to see that, in the industrial partnership we can offer, there is a real way to create even more capacity for Ukraine.
In this video, the operator is filming a Shahed flying by. Suddenly, an anti-aircraft FPV interceptor catches up with it in the sky. This is also a Shahed catcher, but of a different model. But the goal of the Octopus anti-aircraft drone is the same. It was developed in the armed forces of Ukraine and equipped with an artificial intelligence-based control system. And soon it will also be manufactured in Britain.
Since Shaheds are still attacking Ukraine, we need to find a way to create more interceptor drones faster. And that is exactly what this partnership provides. And for me, the Octopus drone, the factories and the industrial partnership we are creating together can provide a stronger Ukraine, better able to defend itself, because Ukraine's security is also Britain's security.
All these initiatives became possible thanks to the 100-year partnership agreement between Ukraine and Britain, which the Verkhovna Rada ratified in September last year. In parallel, Britain is running maintenance and repair programs and will open a large business hub in Kyiv, where Ukrainian enterprises will find Western partners.
British companies won't have to wait for an opportunity. They will be able to interact with British and Ukrainian experts here in Kyiv so that we can build a faster and deeper partnership. And I think the United Kingdom is leading the way in this. We are the first country to do this.
And this process is only gaining momentum. Drones using Ukrainian technology are already being produced at a joint venture in Germany, which President Zelensky inspected last month.
And by the end of 2026, Ukraine will have at least 10 drone production facilities. 3 in Germany, 2 each in Britain, Finland and Denmark, and 1 more in Latvia.
It shows that Ukrainian manufacturers can access more stable supply chains because they'll be present directly in those countries.
With such cards, Ukraine will feel much more confident in its conversations with the United States.
This is something that can be presented to the Trump administration and his team, what Ukrainians see on the battlefield and how it can help, not only in creating drones in the United States, but also making the United States stronger and safer as a country.
And the first page in this story could be cooperation with the United States in the Middle East. According to Reuters, Washington has requested help from Kyiv in protecting its bases among the Persian Gulf countries.
There is one place on the entire planet that has extensive experience in destroying Shaheds and creating multi-layered air defense, and that is Ukraine.
Someone there recently said that we don't have any cards. It turns out we do have cards.
We are talking specifically about Ukrainian interceptor drones. President Zelensky stated that he wouldn't mind exchanging them for air defense missiles that partners have.
I think this will be very beneficial for all parties as they gain the information and experience that Ukrainians have. What you can teach because Ukrainians are experiencing this firsthand and Ukraine gains political points.
So Ukraine is reaching a new level of interaction with its partners. Political military cooperation with the closest allies is being strengthened by industrial cooperation, which is a foundation for a secure future for years. To win the war of technology, Ukraine needs to increase the pace of developing effective unmanned systems, increase their procurement and use on the battlefield. This was stated by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky. He noted that the war has entered a new stage, the length of kill zones has increased, and this is a result of the growing capabilities of strike drones. Oleksandr Syrsky reported, by April 1st, Russia planned to increase the number of unmanned systems troops to 101,000 soldiers. They are accelerating the creation of UAV units to influence the course of hostilities, particularly in the south, where they are losing territory. In February alone, our drones hit over 105,000 enemy targets. A quarter of that is the work of the Unmanned Systems Forces Group. The defense forces maintain an advantage in the use of FPVs, although the Russians have the capacity to produce over 19,000 such drones per day. To counter strike drones, UAV interceptor platoons are being created in units of the armed forces of Ukraine.